Hey everyone, this is a little explanation of libertarian or Robin Hood economics, which is not the same as free market economics, deregulation, trusting the markets to run themselves, which is not a libertarian idea, but a fiscal conservative idea or a capitalist idea that libertarians came on board. But not every libertarian is an economist, on account that markets are not individuals. Libertarians shake their fists at everything else. Adopting a plan that already existed serves the institution of capitalism. Conservatives want to reduce the size of government so there is less to pay taxes for. But they are still loyal taxpayers of the system. They're not conscientious objectors. Libertarians believe taxation is morally wrong or some other philosophy, not as a political preference, but because they're being robbed or they can't keep their property. And this misunderstanding is the same in most other situations. The House of Representatives has some sort of Robin Hoods, or they see themselves as Robin Hoods, and pundits try to explain them in the context of traditional lawmaking roles, without knowing what are the goals of an anarchist. What are the stakes for an anarchist? On the Nolan chart, conservatism is right, libertarianism is up. But nobody asks a libertarian or an anarchist how his economy is supposed to work. We're only told that it doesn't work. So here are some answers to that question. 20th century economics is a mutual system between consumers, not a system that admits it has players working toward opposite goals. On the blue side, the biggest lesson the 21st century has taught us is that capitalism has limits. Adam Smith was wrong. It can lead to a small number of people having too much wealth. And on the red side, people are still striving toward a 20th century balance that we have not yet achieved. It's a system in which one guy needs tax money to support his family, while another guy has to fight taxes to support his family. To me, most people learned at a young age that if your neighbor fails to pay $1 in taxes, that's not $1 that falls back on you. It might be 1.1 or even 75 cents. Perhaps a great deal of income does equal spending, since most people speculate that it does, but some of that economy is imaginary. Every family knows there are funds that disappear without a trace, and funds that magically reappear. And yet we have a government that must pass a budget every year to continue to function, as if we were still living in the 20th century, when we could all simply speculate that we're not. Here's how a Robin Hood system would work, and to some extent does work. Let's say there are two roommates, one of whom is a government employee who needs taxpayer money to support his family, while the other one needs to fight taxation to support his family and keep his home until he dies. 20th century economics would tell us this guy is robbing that guy, and we're asked to choose sides. But a much bigger question is government a player in all this? In which case, is it a part of economics, or is it exempt from economics? No matter what the answer is, consider this. What if we're in a system where people aren't in agreement over that? Or a system where the economic provider doesn't know its own self? Now imagine having a boss or a bank that's like that, in which case you and your neighbor can both give and take what they need. The wheel on Wheel of Fortune that sometimes pays out and sometimes stops on zero isn't an economy that gives and takes away out of a single budget. It's just a game of chance that exists for entertainment. So what if government is just a drama that you and I are supporting, not as taxpayers, but as millions of viewers? watching a simulation that is not necessarily real. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. So imagine the Nolan chart as a representation of our two-party system, both striving toward their own beliefs, and the center is a place where it's possible for them both to believe they're getting what they want, or conversely, where nobody gets what they want. A democratic republic doesn't have to be capitalist, nor does it need to be socialist. That's a portmanteau of two different things. We choose to separate church and state. There are things that shouldn't be for sale, like judges, hospitals, emergency services. The bestseller Economics in One Lesson, first published in 1946, after explaining basic economics, suddenly talks about the evils of government spending, a phrase with negative connotations, as if the reader already knows what that is, when we could consider government functions to be something outside economics that can't be bought. Telling people our system leads to opportunity gets them to spend a lifetime occupied with certain tasks without ever seeing it, because there is only a limited number of opportunities, each of which is supported by thousands of people. When you have money, you're offered membership in groups in which banks, creditors, and corporations are still the masters. Economic independence is the ability to do things without money. People who can do that are the real winners. The system bends around them like an act of nature. I've included some further reading in the description below. When John Cleese played the Robin Hood character Dennis Moore, he learns that the redistribution of wealth opens a sea of problems that makes it a joke. However, I believe Robin Hood actually has a system behind taxation, the national debt, and lending. But this is all theoretical. We don't live in a libertarian system. Thank you for watching. Please post your thoughts in the comments below.